governor to welcome the counseling to step aside. The spokesman says now that the Nigerian army has revealed him as the person who invited the soldiers to go quell the Lekki protests, which has led to unfortunate fatalities and grievous injuries. Meanwhile, the ruling All Progressive Congress APC in Lagos State says Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu remains undaunted and could not be distracted from delivering on his social contract with the people. The APC Publicity Secretary in Lagos, Seyi Oladejo, said this while reacting to calls by the opposition People's Democratic Party to Sanwo-Olu to consider resignation in view of what the PDP called the collapse of good governance in the state, particularly in the last 10 days. Oladejo said the PDP call is an invitation to anarchy, saying the call for resignation remains the wish of a frustrated opposition battling its permanent implosion. According to him, the PDP in Lagos State that suddenly came to life in the past weeks owes the innocent members of the public detailed explanation about its reprehensible role in the mayhem. Oladejo, who acknowledged that the daylight murder of police officers and the razing of several stations across the state has no doubt taken its toll on the state security architecture, however, assured that government is working assiduously to provide temporary accommodation to forestall the breakdown of law and order. He expressed a firm assurance that the governor will revamp the losses in no time. 2020 Senior Secondary School Certificate Examination. While operators of public and private schools and promotions and conversions, the government began implementing the new minimum wage for Kwara workers on November 1st. The development comes after the government reviewed the recommendations of the Government and Labour Committee that was set up to resolve all workers' welfare-related issues. Abdulrahman commended Labour leaders and the state's workforce, saying the increment of the minimum wage is a reciprocation for their service. The Ministry of Transportation says that the Lagos-Kano, Lagos-Calabar and the Port Harcourt-Maiduguri rail lines will connect 29 states of the Federation by rail. Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Magdalene Ajani, says that the three rail corridors which form the Coastal Rail Corridor, the Northern Rail Corridor and the Eastern Rail Corridor is a priority for the federal government. Ajani says President Muhammadu Buhari is working round the clock to ensure the completion of the three major corridors before May 2023. She says rail transport presents tremendous benefits for the country and will ensure the protection of other transport infrastructure, notably Nigerian roads.
If we take the Lagos-Kano, Lagos-Calabar, Port Harcourt-Maiduguri routes, 29 states will be covered. So we are saying out of 36 states, people can get to 29 states by rail. And this is the mandate of Mr. President. This is his desire, that the whole country gets connected by rail, at least by 2023. And so, my eye is on that ball to make sure that I work with my minister to deliver this mandate. What will happen? We are getting the wrong tonnage of equipment off the road, so that whatever our Ministry of Works is doing in terms of road, the right type of vehicle is plying the road, and so we don't have huge tonnage vehicles getting on the road and destroying our roads.
The news continues after the short break.
power of the people is stronger than the people in power.
True power is in the vote, in voting.
I'm afraid that these recent events have exposed the current government as out of touch with the people, and their moral right to rule has been eroded.
If Nigeria looks to be dying and we're the ones burying it, what we need to do quickly is to admit that our young people are the ones who will take Nigeria to the future.
If you engage the youth meaningfully, create opportunities for them to be employed, self-employed, and employ other people, you won't have to share 10,000, 50,000 naira to anybody.
As leaders, they have displayed a total lack of empathy and accountability in governance.
We operate a big local government where the president is the local government chairman.
It's the Watching News on the Hour on Plus TV Africa. We go over to other parts of Africa, this time to Tanzania, where President-elect John Magufuli has received a certificate of victory from the National Electoral Commission. While receiving the certificate on Sunday in the capital, Dodoma, he pledged to work harder for the people in his second term. He added that his landslide victory is a huge debt he has to repay by resolving the challenges of Tanzanians, regardless of their tribal, religious and political affiliations. Announcing the presidential election results on Friday night, Chairman of the National Electoral Commission said Magufuli, of the ruling Party of the Revolution, won the election with 12.51 million votes, or 84%. That's against 1.93 million, or 13%, for his main challenger, Tundu Lissu, from the leading opposition party. In the past 24 hours, 135 South Africans have died of the novel coronavirus COVID-19. South African Health Minister Zweli Mkhize announced this on Sunday, stating that the country's death toll has now increased to 19,411. Mkhize said 1,371 new COVID-19 cases were also detected. This has pushed the infections to 726,823. South Africa has the highest number of COVID-19 cases in Africa. It is also the 12th most affected nation globally. Also, a total of 655,330 people have won their battle against the virus. This means that 90% of infected South Africans have recovered from the virus. And outside of Africa, the Director General of the World Health Organization, WHO, Tedros Ghebreyesus, has tested positive for COVID-19. Tedros announced this in a series of tweets on his verified Twitter handle. He said he was identified as a contact person of someone who had COVID-19 symptoms. He added that he is well and without symptoms, but will self-quarantine at home over the coming days. Ghebreyesus and other officials at the WHO have been at the forefront of fighting the COVID-19 pandemic since it broke out early in the year. Japan's largest airport has opened a COVID-19 testing facility on Monday, November 2nd. The Narita International Airport Polymerase Chain Reaction Center is aimed at outbound travelers who need proof that they do not have COVID-19 before arriving at their destination. The lab is run by the Nippon Medical School Foundation. It is the first of its kind in Japan and can deliver results in 6 hours and costs as much as $444. And in business, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has revealed the business activities and sectors that are eligible to access its 75 billion naira youth investment fund. They are technology, innovation, agriculture and related value chain, green economy and renewable energy sector, manufacturing, hospitality, tourism, construction and logistics, as well as supply chain. Others are healthcare value chain, creative sector and trading and services. The CBN and the Nigerian Youth Investment Fund will determine the rest from time to time. The federal government of Nigeria has set a target of generating at least 500,000 jobs between 2020 and 2023 through financial empowerment of Nigerian youths between the ages of 18 and 35. Oil prices have dropped more than 3%, putting crude oil traders under immense pressure. Brent crude plunged as much as 5.8%, and West Texas Intermediate lost as much as 6% in early trade, hitting their lowest level since May. The plunge in oil prices is coming amid several worries of a sort of COVID-19 lockdowns across emerged markets and a bias of more turbulence ahead of the U.S. presidential election scheduled to hold tomorrow. And in entertainment, Hollywood star Johnny Depp on Monday lost his libel battle with a British tabloid, which labelled him a wife beater after a High Court judge ruled that the paper's allegations were substantially true. The actor, who is 57, famed for his role in the films such as Pirates of the Caribbean, and had sued news group newspapers, publishers of The Sun, and one of its journalists, Dan Wharton, over a 2018 article which stated he had been violent towards his ex-wife.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the Babin, I pay my rent. From the Babin, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
We can't talk about education reform if we don't decolonize our education system.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize. Because it's just cultural. And I think it's just human nature.
They stop paying us salary. I don't like remembering it.
I am angry at Nigeria. I'm angry at this government which seems to be letting us down. I am angry at us as a people.
In the process of struggling to free myself from his hand, he tore my pants and he raped me.
Yes, I commit the offense truly.
Young girl, do you know where you are going? I say, I'm going to America. I say, now so that they talk, you are going to Libya. Which America?
As it then do mark our place, some people they die now.
This is Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
And in sports, former Manchester United player Roy Keane thinks the current players will get Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sacked, and he concluded by saying that the team is nowhere near good enough following their defeats to Arsenal. And after 6 games of the new season, United are just 15 points. They're 15th in the Premier League table, having already suffered 3 defeats, all of them at Old Trafford. And Manchester United's next game will be away to Istanbul Başakşehir in the Champions League on Wednesday, before going to Everton in the Premier League on Saturday, while Arsenal host Molde in the Europa League on Thursday and then welcome Aston Villa to the Emirates on Sunday. And still in sports, the government will decide whether to allow the FA Cup first round to go on as planned in full after imposing a second national lockdown. The FA are waiting to hear if the decision to stop non-elite sport for a month from Thursday applies to 10 lower league clubs involved in the competition when it resumes 24 hours later. The government has already confirmed that elite sports, the Premier League, EFL and National League will be allowed to continue during the lockdown. England Golf will challenge the government's counterproductive decision to close courses. The organization's chief executive, Jeremy Tomlinson, has also signed a petition to make courses exempt from the list of venues required to close. The lockdown has put grassroots sports on hold, forcing sports clubs, leisure centers and gyms to close their doors again. And that's it on Sports Update on Plus TV Africa. I'm Udoka Njoko.
Thank you, Udoka. And that's how we wrap things up at this hour. For more news updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. We'll certainly be back with more much later. To stay with us, I'm Felicity Ezewike. Thanks for watching.
In a world of overwhelming voices, where everyone has something to say, it is important that we bring the core issues to the fore.
As we lend our voices to inspire, inform, influence, and provoke your thoughts and action.
We want to hear these issues and know what you are saying. This is not just women talking.
It is an evocative program that touches the core of our existence.
We take on topics some may consider taboo and want to sweep under the carpet.
We understand that what touches one touches all. We know you have a lot to say, so let's hear you.
Welcome to Tea Time on Plus TV Africa, where we bring you the biggest entertainment stories and, of course, analyze them for you.
You can have both parents and still end up as a useless child. I see them every day.
Most times I worry more about where I'm coming from and where I am now, and that determines my next step.
Why are you sounding like
Alibaba
now?
Plus TV Africa, we're feeling good. No time to dull, everybody feeling alright.
I still make music and people are still buying. Sometimes I look myself minimal IU.
Akpala music is for mature-minded people. I got DMs sometimes from Malawi like,
sleeping early.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
He suffered equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, then go beat you. Now 2,500 they pay.
Many thanks for joining us on News on the Hour on Plus TV Africa.
State government has approved a bill for the establishment of State Security Network Agency, Amoteco.
We have the highest number of extremely poor people in the world.
He's not concerned about lecturers that are raping students that are under their care. He's concerned about them being stigmatized.
And I can tell you that he will get the result in full measure. He cannot avoid responsibility.
Why the focus on Africa at this point?
The news only cover, one side of Africa, so we always felt like the picture is incomplete, so we need the whole picture.
65% of these people, whom we term as the urban poor, live in settlements, otherwise known as slums.
This is just the tip of the iceberg of the road situations in Lagos, from the mainland to the island.
It's been a closed-door security meeting as the retreat for senior police officers hits day 3.
There's this basket or there's this bowl that we all come to the center to pick from. Everybody has to see Nigeria as an investment vehicle, not as a distributive mechanism.
Still on the foreign scenes, Russia has flatly denied allegations that is spreading disinformation about the new coronavirus outbreak on social media.
Australian Open debutant Coco Gauff defeated defending champion Naomi Osaka in 2 straight sets.
Kenneth Okonkwo, Kanayo and Bob Manuel Udoku have been conferred with the Veteran Actor of Nigeria Award.
This is Plus TV Africa.
Plus TV Africa.
Plus TV Africa.
Big stories live here.
Hello and welcome to Africa on the Move in partnership with DW. I am Fumi Noajefe. Today, we'll be focusing on how people on the continent are taking care of their environment. In Kenya, someone initiated the plan of trash for cash.
Every Monday, Jeffrey Baluzzi, age 26, combs the beach as part of a cleanup crew from the Watamu Marine Association. Each time, they pick up about 4 big sacks of plastic waste. They're paid the equivalent of €4 a day. That means they earn €16 a month. That's not very much, but they're all happy to do this work. Jeffrey has been part of the crew since its inception.
My main intention was just to change the environment itself, because since the environment was different here, there was a lot of taka, and this was dangerous even to the sea creatures. So that's what brought me here, in fact.
They bring the trash to a recycling center run by the organization, not far from the beach. Shakushi Lewa helps sort the trash. He lives on the grounds of the recycling center. They separate hard and soft plastic. Part of it is given to local artists and women's associations, which make flip-flop sandals or window screens to stop insects from getting into houses. The hard plastic is the organization's cash cow. It brings in the equivalent of €7,000 a year. The recycling center has acquired a new shredder. Soon it will be able to handle plastic not just from all of Watamu, but from another nearby community. Jeffrey thinks they'll be able to shred about 20,000 kilos of hard plastic, more than double their present capacity.
So I can say this project has been so beneficial on me and the project itself, because up to date, the taka we used to hide on the beach are now reduced. On the village, the same.
Thanks to the initiative, around 25 people in Watamu are earning steady money. Shakushu was unemployed for a long time until the project hired him. He lives for free on the grounds of the recycling center. He mixes old paper, water, and wood chips to make briquettes for burning. The business idea earns him the equivalent of €100 a month from garbage. When the people from the community collect those plastics and bring them here, they get money for the plastic. Jeffrey says the biggest challenge is to make clear to the community that recycling plastic is much more than just a short-term money-making project.
The challenge we do have is that, because people say, okay, I can join with you working there, but what are you going to give me? You know? So you have to pay him. Instead of volunteering, they don't volunteer. And they do have to volunteer, because this is their country. The environment belongs to them too.
The Watamu environmental activists want to do more to educate the community. Jeffrey wants to make people understand that recycling garbage is meaningful. It looks like he's already come a long way.
If you ask me, I think they should legislate that all bottling companies should recycle all their PET bottles. Recycling could create a revolution. Still in Kenya, a former banker recycles plastics and create new products which will reduce the cutting of trees and in the end, save the forest.
Nicholas Wambua is busy marking the borders of his farm outside Nairobi. Usually farmers here use wooden posts for their fences, but Nicholas has bought a new product.
Compared to the normal poles, the lifespan of this one is longer than the normal poles, so I prefer this one. It is reducing the destruction of forest, because now you find we are lessening the cutting of the trees in our country. So I am for it, because our ecosystem is being controlled.
On the outskirts of Nairobi, the posts are produced by a new innovative company. EcoPost is the brainchild of Lorna Ruto, a former banker. She came up with an ingenious way of getting rid of the city's plastic waste by making eco-friendly posts from recycled plastic.
All this plastic waste has been collected from various dump sites, some streets, and even homes, people's homes. So we bring them here. This is the first step. They are flooded from the truck. Then we store them until we get a good quantity. From there, we're able to take them into processing.
Every month, EcoPost gives 40 to 50 tons of plastic waste new life as building material. In its first year of operation, it produced more than 5,000 posts, removing hundreds of tons of plastic waste from the environment.
We crush the sawdust and we mix it with the plastic, and we make very good aesthetic and quality posts that can be used even for now building. And it's an alternative to timber, so by so doing we're able to save a lot of trees, and we hope to save the 2% forest cover that is remaining in Kenya.
Kenya has a massive problem with deforestation. Much of the wood is used as building material. EcoPost offers not only an alternative, it also removes plastic waste, which helps limit toxic pollution. Something Karanya Nyoroche strongly endorses.
The society is part of the problem. A problem in the sense that they are the source of that waste, and they should actually be responsible on how to dispose of it. If there is a market, and that market generates 2-3 tons every day of waste plastic, then the market should have regulatory guidelines on how to recycle whatever they generate. Then we'll end up with less plastic strewn on the streets or in the landfills.
Every year, Kenya's plastic waste grows almost tenfold. Lorna Ruto has shown that it's also a resource which can generate huge profits. EcoPost has already created almost 40 full-time positions and hundreds of casual jobs.
So it is not only in Kenya that people are making money from waste. In Gabon, one man is separating and recycling waste.
They have become an established team. Several times a week, men from Global Services come over to the market in Labarene, Gabon, and sort the enormous amount of waste. Organic waste goes into the pink bags and plastic in the blue. This is all done under the watchful eye of CEO Firmin Makaya. Unfortunately, the people here are used to just throwing their garbage on the street. Many simply don't understand why they should think about waste separation and recycling. That's why we have to explain to them the importance of this over and over again. Not only to the residents, but also to the city administration. Labarene may be small, but for years it's had a big waste problem. The city waste management exists only on paper. Businessman Makaya took action. The 37-year-old founded his own private waste collection company, rented a small office, and established a team of 8 strong men. Now they are the stars of Labarene. It's very nice to see what they're doing here. A clean environment helps everybody. We used to really have too much garbage here, but since the people of Global Services started their operations, you can see a difference. These 2 tricycles transport the garbage daily to the depository on the outskirts of Lambarene. The company purchased them with its initial capital, which it won in a startup competition. This is the most unpleasant part of the work for the men of Global Services. Here is where the waste is burned. This, of course, is not good. It's not good for the health of the people who work here. And it's also not good for the environment that we actually want to protect. Now the businessman is working together with his wife on the next step of his garbage project. They want to construct a recycling plant in the jungle of Labarene. The plastic waste will be mixed with sand to create a cement-like brick. The mass is well suited for road construction. And the land has already been purchased and cleared. What's missing now is only money. Of course, it's all a difficult and lengthy process. To be honest, I have sometimes thought of giving up. But today, I'm more convinced than ever that we'll succeed. Makaya has already convinced a producer about his recycling idea, who's supplying Makaya with sand at a special price.
A 16-year-old in Tanzania holds a weekly show focused on the environment.
She's determined, ambitious, and has come a long way. Valentine Waku is a scientist and a staff member at the International Centre for Tropical Agriculture, or CIAT, in Nairobi. For now, the 29-year-old is researching the quinoa plant. The nutritious crop from South America could help in solving Africa's nutrition problem. For this, she analyses seed and soil samples from 5 countries in East and West Africa.
The seed and soil will be analysed so that we can see the relation between the nutrients in the soil and the yield we're getting from the seeds.
In the first year of her long-term project, Valentine Waku already discovered from the lab to the fields.
We are proud because we're getting good harvests. It's not like before, because we were taught how to plant, and together with my group, we're applying what we learned.
The farmers get to put the surplus from their harvest on the market or sell to processing companies. This is also a result of the project.
Our role, in short, has been select which varieties can go for industrial processing, the pre-cooked, train the stakeholders, including the farmers, on how to grow them and to aggregate them.
For the scientists at CIAT, sustainability is important. Director Robin Burukara knows this as well. The institute now has the plasma of all the bean germs known across the world.
We have the germplasm. There's the research we can do, but we work very closely together with our national research systems and then work closely together with agents which can support dissemination so that the farmers get the product.
The bean project has been ongoing for 1 year and is soon coming to an end. Valentine Waku is happy about its success. She also researched the beans. Now with quinoa, the goal remains the same.
This food security crisis in Africa is ongoing song. So with especially what I'm involved in the quinoa, if it's successful and we see that it can do well in Africa, it will really improve the livelihoods of the downtrodden people.
Valentine Waku's quinoa project has been planned for 5 years. The scientist wishes that the farmers would quickly profit from her results and that quinoa would successfully be planted in Africa.
Imagine if we could educate young Africans very early about recycling waste and taking care of the environment. We would have a cleaner continent. But trust me, it's not too late to act. We'll take a break and then we'll be right back.
The power of the people is stronger than the people in power.
True power is in the voting.
I'm afraid that these recent events have exposed the current government as out of touch with the people, and their moral right to rule has been eroded.
If Nigeria looks to be dying and we're the ones burying it, what we need to do quickly is to admit that our young people are the ones who will take Nigeria to the future.
If you engage the youths meaningfully, create opportunities for them to be employed, self-employed, and employ other people, you won't have to share 10,000, 50,000 naira to anybody.
As leaders, they have displayed a total lack of empathy and accountability in governance.
We operate a big local government where the president is the local government chairman.
We can't talk about education reform if we don't decolonize our education system.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize. Because it's just cultural. And I think it's just human nature.
They stop paying us salary. I don't like remembering it.
I am angry at Nigeria. I'm angry at this government which seems to be letting us down. I am angry at us as a people.
In the process of struggling to free myself from his hand, he tore my pants and he raped me.
Yes, I commit offense truly.
Young girl, do you know where you are going? I say, I'm going to America. I say, oh, now so that they talk, you are going to Libya. Which America?
As it then do mark our place, some people they die now.
This is PLOS TV Africa. Big stories live here.
Welcome back. So in our next story, we are taught not to take the fresh air we breathe for granted.
These volunteers are about to learn a lot about the benefits of fresh air. Brice Delagneau is the activist behind the tree planting campaign. The meeting place is no coincidence. It's the epicenter of exhaust emissions in this city of nearly 5 million. We're amazed that many more people came to participate in the reforestation campaign than we expected. Banco Forest is just outside the Ivorian commercial capital, Abidjan. It's clearly visible from the highway, but many urban residents have never been here before. Brice studied environmental management in Abidjan, then founded his own organization. With this campaign, he wants Abidjan residents to understand that Banco Forest is the city's source of oxygen. This is a large metropolis. There are so many cars. The ones you see here in the city are usually bad for the environment. They're 10, 15, or even 20 years old. Sometimes even older than that. Without Banco Forest, the air in Abidjan would probably be much worse. Recent studies show that people already breathe in 3,000 tons of carbon dioxide here every day. With its abundant vegetation and rare tree species, the forest exudes a kind of magic. Part of it remains untouched and has been designated a national park. But many trees are being cut down outside the protected area. In 2009, this entire space was a rainforest. Today, it's full of residential buildings and factories. There's only one thing to do to save part of the cleared area: plant more trees. Participants plant various kinds of trees, including makore, nyangon, and tiama. These volunteers say the air is clean and refreshing, and healthy. The funds for this campaign come from an annual environmental conference. More than 70 new trees have been planted just today. To assess the impact of his efforts, Brice returns to the rainforest. Looking at this natural beauty, I would like every Ivorian to get involved and preserve it and stop cutting down trees. They should be protected. The same goes for the whole environment. Everyone should come to this space so they can learn how to love nature. Brice Delagneau has been able to inspire more than 130 volunteers with his initiative. He's also taken his campaign to neighboring Burkina Faso and Ghana.
If we knew how valuable trees are to the air we breathe, I doubt we'll cut down a single tree. So from planting trees, we go to the eco-warriors protecting their land.
In the remote Yaida Valley, the Hadza people have lived like this for 10,000 years. They still depend on the forest for hunting meat and gathering fruits, and even whistling to birds, which lead them to honey. But today, their land is under threat, and to protect it, they're turning to modern technology.
We hate it. We don't like to see the trees cut down like this.
Ezekiel Filippo is one of the Hadza's forest guards who patrol the area looking for signs of damage. His team uses GPS satellite tracking to collect evidence of the destruction.
We use tools to record where we have been on patrol, and we take pictures. If we come across an area where someone has destroyed trees, we take a picture on the GPS device and it records the location.
The problem is the competition for this land. Other tribes need space for farming and cattle grazing, and in places that means the natural habitat is completely destroyed.
You can see the state of it. It is devastating. The way they are farming this land. Now where are the Hadza people going to live?
When I was a child, all of this was thick forest. There were lots of animals, and this area was especially good for collecting honey. It hurts my soul to see it now.
To stop the destruction, it is now illegal to cut down trees on Hadza land. And where the patrols find damage, they can arrest or report the offenders, who will face a fine.
When it happened that there is someone establishing maybe settlement or a piece of farm or a boma, that is an illegal issue. So the Walinzi Wajadi or village game scout, using GPS picture to prepare the report that will be sent to the village governments to take a legal step against this issue, because it is not allowed.
The project is funded by the Global Carbon Credit Scheme, where businesses offset their emissions by contributing money to projects that reduce carbon. The villages are given payments twice a year of thousands of dollars. And the patrols also work with other tribes in the area to voice their concerns about the environment. There are now just under 1,000 Hadza people left in this area, thought to be among the last hunter-gatherers in the world.
This, everything you can see below me here, is the land of the Hadza people. This is where we live. This is where we get our meat and our honey. This is what we call home. I feel very happy when I see how we have looked after this beautiful land. Before, when I saw the land being destroyed, I hated it. But now that I see it being protected, I feel very happy.
Thank you for watching Africa on the Move in partnership with DW. See you next week. I am Femi Unwajefe.
Oftentimes when we see celebrities either on social media, television, or in person, we assume they have it all together, but we forget that they're also human. Well, here are some of the low points of some of your favorite celebrities.
Story. Once upon a time, there was a very young, agile, vivacious, spunky, unconventional Pikin you have all come to know and love as Brother Derele, Werele, Shewere, Dewere, and all of the above. But you see, getting to this very point in time has been a story of hurdles. I have crossed so many hurdles. I've broken down ceilings. I've crashed barriers. I've scaled mountains, figuratively speaking. Because you know what? For every single door that was shut on my face, you know what? I found another door. For every time I was put in a box, I jumped right out of that box. I am still in an industry where I have to constantly prove myself. Not the fact that I have to prove myself to myself, but I have to prove myself every time how resilient I can be and how much of an identity and strong force that I must be. So you know what? This is my celebrity story. My story is like $1 million question rolled into one.
My story for today, which hopefully will inspire you, is that when I was 17, my mom died. And at the time, my mom was the only one that had been encouraging me as far as acting was concerned. My dad was not for it at all. And on her deathbed, she told my father, let this girl do what she wants to do. Unfortunately, he was still against it. And I went to theatre school, much to his disdain. But the thing is, even though I went through a lot of stuff because he refused to like sponsor me because I was doing what he didn't want me to do, I endeavored, I worked, you know, I had many jobs. I used to do all kinds of stuff. I used to braid hair. You know, there's a lot of stuff I do people don't know about just to make ends meet. Some days it would be between transport and food and all kinds of things. But I endeavored, I worked hard, I stuck to what I wanted to do, and finally I am here. And as far as I'm concerned, I've only just begun. But I am here, and I'm going to keep on pushing on until that Oscar sits on top of my table. So, you know, no matter what it is that you want to do, so far it's a good thing. Don't let anyone discourage you. There will always be a way around it if you just put your head down and put in the work.
What's up, everybody? They call me Road Boy. Now, let me share a brief and a small story for you guys, okay? I used to be a young boy who never had this experience of having parents coming to pick you in school or taking you to school. You know, those kind of things that if you woke up in the morning as early as 6, you dress up everything by 6:30, it will take you like 1 hour, 20 minutes to get to my school. I never had that experience of waiting for a driver to come and pick me in school. You know, that kind of lifestyle whereby even your parents will prepare breakfast for you or lunch for you to take in school. It was all about survivors, okay? But today, I want to tell you guys something. Maybe my parents took it that way for me because they never had, but I promised myself when I was young, if I ever made money, my children are not going to go through that. I'll provide everything for my kids, transportation, security, whatever, okay? So let me tell you, so whatever you're going through in life today, make sure you keep your head up because whatever you're experiencing, it will give you that power, that strength not to allow your kids to go through that. Road Boy says so. Bless her.
Before Jennifer's Diary, I would go for, to be honest, I did not think I was going to be an actor. I just thought I was going to sing. How I got into acting, one particular day, I went to church for rehearsals, choir rehearsal, and then I got there early. My friend called that she had written my name in some audition. I was like, audition, ads free, me? I know they do. So she was like, come through, they're waiting. So because rehearsals had not started and the place wasn't so far from where I was, so I was like, okay, I'll just go and see what's up. Thereafter, I started going for auditions and auditions and auditions. Some people will say really nasty stuff to you. Instead of them to just say, no, go. They will yab you. They will make you not believe in yourself. You just feel like giving up. So I just chilled. And then one particular time, I got a BC, 1,000 Days of Blackberry. My friend sent me an audition BC. It was for Jennifer's Diary. So I said, guy, I know they go. All these things, they don't already get people where they want to put there. So I'm not going to go. So I was like, go, 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 go. My mom told me to go. My dad told me to go, the amazing man, and my friend. So I didn't even know what to wear. So I was discouraged, like, nah, I'm not going to go. But my friend, thankfully, she works for Genevieve at the time. By the way, I love. I cannot explain the love I have for Genevieve. The place was crowded and I don't like crowd. So I went to hide in the restroom as always. That's what I always do. So I was there till like 8 p.m. For real. I called my mom. Mom, I'm leaving. She said, no, too bad it's audition. So I stayed there. 9 p.m. I auditioned. In my head, I was like, there's no way they won't have found people they need. A couple of weeks after, they called me for the second audition. We did the third audition. We did the final reading. We're quite a number of people reading for Toyosi. At the end of the day, as God would have it, I got the role for Jennifer's Diary to play Toyosi. I did not have any idea that the character was going to have so much continuity. I don't even know. I didn't know that I was going to be in several seasons. So, yeah, and that's how I found myself in Jennifer's Diary series.
Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. I am Osayo Mesali, and today I'm not alone in this studio. Finally, I have Isiyo Fodile is live here with me in studio, and we have Uti joining us via Zoom. Uti, can you give me in 1 minute, how has your Sunday been?
You know how my Sunday has been. It's been an interesting day, right? Yeah, all us ladies got together and it was interesting.
Very interesting.
I'm still tired. I got home like 10 minutes ago.
I can imagine.
I'm exhausted.
Since 5 a.m. I've been awake and I slept at 2 a.m. So in fact, in case you hear me just going off key, just bring me back and pardon my...
I thought you said you were going to start with the show,
I'm going to yawn. Isi, how have you been?
Fine, thank you. I mean, fine fettle. Basically, I'm looking forward to a fantastic show tonight.
Awesome. Both of you are wearing sleeveless black. Is there any particular reason for that?
Because of the way we started the day.
You're all in black. All right, so
all will be revealed.
Right.
In due time.
Hopefully, and it's going to be revealed well. So today we're discussing fake news and the social media bill. And here's what we found as today's quote. The effectiveness of fake news is primarily due to its ability to mimic real news to seem plausible. Uti, what's your take on fake news?
Well, it's become a reality. As fake as it is, it's now... it's become our reality. I was listening to a talk, I think it was a TEDx talk a few weeks ago, and it says in time where we have fake video, fake pictures, fake audio, we've literally hit the brink of the failure of reality. So now everything that you see and you hear, you have to actually question whether it is real. And that's a very, very scary thought. And when we look at some of the things that have played out in the last few weeks, the threat is real. The danger is very, very real.
Especially what we look at on social media, basically.
Yeah.
We should be very careful what we look at, what we post, what we tweet, and what we believe as well. So
absolutely.
It's very important for us to be careful with things we see on social media.
Absolutely. You have to vet everything right now these days. So what really is fake news, and is the social media bill a solution? Dr. Funmilayo Harvey is here to discuss this, but first, let's take a break for what's in the news.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, they go beat you. Now 2,500 they pay.
You're still watching Ways Now. World Vegan Day is an annual event celebrated by vegans around the world every 1st of November. The benefits of veganism for humans and the natural environment are celebrated through activities such as setting up stalls, hosting potlucks, and planting memorial trees. Uti Elu, have you ever attempted to be a vegan? Why am I always calling you first?
Because you know she has something to say first.
Funny enough, I've considered it. So probably not going to go as extreme as being vegan, but certainly cut back on my red meat. Also trying to cut back on my poultry as well. So I'm trying to go down the route of pescatarian, which just is fish and seafood. So I'm trying to do a lot more of that. I mean, being vegan is, you know, it's a bit extreme for me. I think we've been raised in a culture of meats. You know, if you haven't had food with some sort of protein, as we call it,
it cannot work.
It feels very weird. It feels very odd. But I mean, definitely the research shows there's a lot of benefits to health, to cutting back on your, you know, red meat and things like that. So absolutely, I mean, kudos to all the vegans out there. It's just a bit extreme for me, right?
Yeah, Issy, how about you?
It's absolutely extreme for me as well. But I think a lot of Africans or those with African orientation or origin, we do not actually look at that aspect of life. Basically, you know, staying away from red meat, staying away from things like that. It's true.
I attempted to be a vegan. In case I did not say it, I attempted to be a vegan for 1 week. Just 1 week. I said,
totally not easy.
This
a vegetarian though.
Is not gonna be working for me. You know, I think I just like my chicken. I like my turkey. I like my fish.
Well spiced.
I like everything. So
absolutely.
I can't do that. All right. So Issy, what did you find for us in the news?
In today's news, we all know that the president actually increased. This is good news, actually, in the midst of so much problem, so much pain in Nigeria currently, that the salary structure for teachers has been increased.
Hallelujah.
So, because of this, I'm so happy. But I'm not in the public space. I'm in the private space. So we have new salary scale will attract best brains to teaching profession. This is by the TRC and Registrar, Professor Segun Ajiboye. this is a step towards the right direction for us, because it will attract a lot of individuals who would look at the teaching profession not as that of a poor man or not beneficial to them, and that will also help the children and the students to learn better, because you have brilliant minds coming into the teaching space. And also this will aid staffs in rural areas as well, because we, believe it or not, those in the rural areas have suffered so much because the teachers are not well equipped. They're not the best of brains we have in the rural areas. So it's essential that, you know, when we have an increment in salary, the teachers will go to the extreme to do what they have to do. Absolutely. Yes. All right, Uti, do you have a story for us, or you just want to make a comment?
No, I don't. I mean, it's good to see. When I saw that story, Zissy was talking about it, and I thought, well, we're seeing some traction. It feels like nothing is happening. It feels like a lot is said and very little action seems to follow it. So it's good to get reports like this. But again, the cynic in me says, is this just another article in the press and then nothing happens, and then maybe 6 months down the line the teachers will all come out and say, oh, we haven't been paid as promised?
I'm holding on to that straw.
I feel like, do you know what I mean?
I get what you feel. Exactly, I understand.
And there's a lot of distrust. Is it distrust or mistrust?
Mistrust.
In these things that you read. But I mean, if any good can come out of what has happened.
You know, sometimes now we have to consider some things as unconfirmed, let me not call it fake news, unconfirmed news until it begins to happen physically.
Exactly.
All right, so my story, I completely agree with Uti, you know. I'm hoping that this will not just be playing to the gallery and just say, oh, let us sound like we're doing something. Yeah, I hope not. All right, so my story is in line with what we're talking about today, the social media bill. It says the Nigerian Senate denies considering passage of the social media bill. You know, because there had been a lot of uproar within this week where people were coming out to say, do not let them, you know, it's about to go into. So yesterday, on the 30th rather, the Senate in Abuja described as false the report making the rounds that it was considering passing the contentious social media bill. Rather, the upper chamber said the passage of the bill was not its card at the relevant, as the relevant committee had yet to complete necessary legislative work on it. Okay. You know, so we're hoping that, you know, this is true, because the Senate, the report that the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is to pass the social media bill despite rejections by Nigeria is false and a lie concocted to ridicule and tarnish the image of the Senate. That's fake what news. They are saying. So they said it's fake news. So because we're discussing fake news today, I thought to bring it out that they have said, though, that they are not, you know, but we don't know.
It has passed the first reading, though.
Second, actually.
Oh,
Uti, were you aware that it has passed the second reading?
So I even now got confused because, to be honest, there's so many bills. So I was trying to put it in context. I was trying to figure out some sort of chronological order to which these things have come out, because I know we refer to it as the social media bill, but there is I think the first report I saw was in the frivolous petitions bill, aka the social media bill, and that was introduced in 2016, and there was all the kerfuffle then, and that sort of went away. Then we got to 2019, and the president declined to sign the digital rights bill, so that got to the level of assent, and that was supposed to be protecting our rights on the internet. So that sort of came and went. It didn't get signed. And so I was trying to say, okay, what is the social media bill in itself? And then you come around to what we're calling, and this is where my confusion came in, because there's the hate speech bill, which is different from the falsehoods bill. So I started to get confused because I thought, why are there so many different things? So even I was struggling to get it straight. As to, there is the hate speech bill, which is separate, which is called the National Commission of Prohibition of Hate Speeches. And that's the one that was talking about the life imprisonments and death penalties. You remember when that was going on last year?
Yes.
So there's that. And then the social media bill is different. So the social media bill is the protection from internet falsehoods and manipulation. That's what I was trying to remember.
Exactly.
So they're two separate bills. So even I was getting confused as to which is which, because I think people sort of mix them up when they're talking about it. So the hate speech bill is separate. And then this protection from internet falsehoods is also separate. So the protection from internet falsehoods is the one that is referred to as the social media bill.
Okay.
Yeah, and that speaks to the fake news and all of that. And so, I mean, as we go through the conversation today, I think it'll become a bit clearer.
Maybe it'll become a bit clearer,
that
yeah.
was the first confusion. Like, it seems like you're trying to just put all these things out there to bamboozle us, right?
Absolutely.
But there's some clarity that I think that we can give our viewers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so we would take a short break. Like we said earlier, today we're discussing the fake news and the social media bill. And we have Dr. Funmilayo Harvey. He's here to discuss this with us. But first, let's take a break. We'll be right back.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the Babin, I pay my rent. On the Babin, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, over the past few weeks, the internet has been abuzz with stories and reactions to the proposed bill by the Nigerian Senate to place restrictions on social media and the Nigeria's internet space. Now, the bill has been met with widespread criticism, with many faulting several of its clauses for a perceived hindrance to free speech. Still, a lot of gray areas shroud the proposed bill in what is fast becoming a norm for the African government. Now, let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join this conversation. Tweet at us at Plus TV Africa or at Wayshow Africa 1 with the hashtag Wayshow, or you send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. So I'm going to bring in Dr. Olufunmilayo in a minute. Isi, I wanted to hear your thoughts on the social media bill, what you think, you know, how we are, I don't know. Well, what's your thoughts, rather?
My thought is, like you said...
Are you confused like me?
Like you said, there are a lot of gray areas that we are not really clear on. And Uti actually made a difference between the hate speech bill and the falsehood bill. So because of this, we are all confused about which is which. But however, I think that the youth of Nigeria or individuals, we have tried to use the social media to interact and pass our messages across. For them to now try to tell us to put a hold on it or monitor,
shut it down at any time. I heard the minister talking.
Actually monitor what we actually say on social media. It is indeed an infringement on human rights.
Scary.
It is.
Uti?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, the clarity, or when I started to look at the bill, and it says, according to the bill, so a person can't transmit a statement that will affect the security of any part of Nigeria, affect public health, public safety, public finance, affect Nigeria's relationship with other countries, or cause enmity or hatred towards a person or group of persons. It's very broad, so it's subject to interpretation, misinterpretation, whichever side you want to look at it from. How do you enforce it? How do you ensure that, how do you make it work? Because I might say something which somebody else might find offensive, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And then it's interpreted under one of these things. So for me, given what we've seen, I think that everybody has a responsibility to post, to at least verify the news before they post. So I think it's, I can't remember which organization it is that has the 5 W's that you should think about when you're posting on social media or you're posting online. So I think there's a responsibility there that everybody has to have because of the far-reaching effects. But I think that when we come to this bill, the gray areas are just too much. It's subject to interpretation, misinterpretation, whichever one you want to call it. So there's a lot of definition that would have to go into this. And the question I wanted to ask is, how do we think this is, if it was ever to get signed, would we see the creation of a new agency or a new institution?
Another committee.
To monitor this bill.
They want to pay new salaries with that. All right, so Dr. Habe Olufunmilayo is a medical doctor based in the United Kingdom, and he is very, very visible on Twitter, ensuring that the youth are talking and fully engaged with social concerns. And he's joined us via Zoom as well. Thank you so much, Dr. Olufunmilayo, for joining us.
Hi, thank you for calling me. Good evening. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, so you heard our conversation and the banter on the social media bill. Let's hear your your summation first before we throw in our questions.
Okay, so for me, I think the social media bill is a very suspicious bill, just like Uti said. And I think it's a funny way of smuggling some sort of control over free speech. Because again, what does the social media bill aim to achieve or aim to do that you don't already have in the Cybercrime Act? So if you know anything or you've checked up the Cybercrime Act, to a large extent, most of those spheres have been covered there. There's already some sort of legal punishment for falsehood or false information or defamation and those kind of things. So why are you particularly picking on social media? So do we have a newspaper bill? Do we have a radio bill? Why are you picking on social media? Speech should be free, but at the same time, speech should not be reckless. That's a basic law, or that's a basic legal fact. So what's special about social media?
So I love what you said about free speech, but it should not be reckless. So that's the point, you know. How do we then now look at fake news? How do we address fake news? Because misinformation, you know, is a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Misinformation is a big deal. It can change the entire and turn the entire system upside down when we pass the wrong information. So how do we control fake news? When you're saying recklessness, you know, with your information, what if these people decide to be reckless? How do you now put controls?
So to a large extent, the only or the most effective way to control fake news is to put out true news. If you look at the way Nigeria is going, government has not been honest. Government has not been sincere. In my own opinion, the biggest spreader of fake news is the government itself. So the government continues to put out lies and lies day after day. They've been reckless. They've been irresponsible.
But that is not information. Is that 100% correct?
150,000 people saw people literally being shot on Instagram Live. Now, a government official came to say that an Instagram Live is a photoshopped document or a photoshopped content. So how do you say that kind of thing? And then you come to talk to me about fake news and you expect me to take you seriously? You literally do fake news every day. The Nigerian army, the day of the event, said they were never there. a few days after said, oh, we were there, but we shot blank bullets. How do you reconcile that? So again, like they say, whoever is going to come to equity must come with clean hands. If the government wants to talk about fake news, the government, first of all, has to show seriousness when it comes to news. What it looks like is a desperate attempt to control the narrative. Now that they failed in doing that with social media, because you can't just wake up and, for instance, you can control what you put on NTA or Radio Nigeria or whatever silly station you want, but you can't control social media that way. Now, the fact that a lot of people now take it upon themselves to post the news as they see it, suddenly social media is a threat. So, I mean, we have to be honest with ourselves here. If the aim is for people to get true, reliable information, then it has to be a corroboration between government and the people, and both parties have to be sincere. One party cannot insist on being insincere and dishonest, while at the same time mandating the other party to play by the right rules or to ensure that they check their information. Is anybody checking government's information? Is anybody checking government's news? Or is government free to spread fake news, but people are not? Who's going to be checking government?
Okay, Dr. Olufunmilayo, there is recently a lawmaker stated that social media should be regulated, kind of, because influencers and individuals tend to use it to incite violence. Okay, so what's your take on this? Do you think social media is used by influencers and individuals to incite violence, especially bearing in mind that most of these looters, that actually the people who actually participated in looting might not have a smartphone?
So God bless you. That was what I was going to say next. So let's look at how the trajectory of events have been. The EndSARS protest, putting things into context, was largely peaceful, mostly peaceful. The few disruptions in the EndSARS protest only happened when police got involved. As long as EndSARS protesters were somewhere, it was largely peaceful. Now, at a point in Lagos, they declared a curfew, and this is where I'm going. They declared a curfew. The moment they declared the curfew, what happened next? Soldiers came in and shot people. People went inside. The actual EndSARS protesters went inside. They left the city to thugs. Now, during the period of their own curfew, that there was no EndSARS protest, 27 police stations was bombed, NPA was bombed, BRT was bombed, Sanwo-Olu's mother's house was bombed. There was looting. It was a free-for-all. So the question you want to ask yourself is this a result of social media, or is this actually a result of a system that has already failed, and you are now seeing the repercussions of a failed system? So you have people that you don't provide jobs for. You have people that you don't send to schools. Now you have your city in a free-for-all, and you are surprised that those people are breaking into shops and those people are picking things and burning things down. Really? And you're not looking for a scapegoat. Rather than take responsibility for your silliness, you want to blame social media for something that mostly has nothing to do with social media. You think the people burning down BRT, burning down NPA, burning down the High Court, you think the people running into the Oba's Palace on social media, you really think so?
Okay, so
I mean, again, the protest that was largely pushed by social media was peaceful. It was completely peaceful. Until the government started using BRT to transport thugs and senators' SUVs to transport thugs. You saw these things. So what are we talking about here?
Dr. Funmilayo, we cannot 100% say that it was the government, because and that's why for me, I am hoping that they are able to get...
People were there, they saw them come down from a BRT bus.
We actually saw them coming down from a BRT bus.
That's what everybody saw.
We saw that, you know, but we still...
Did you not see a police truck move thugs? Did you not see it? Is that me making it up?
No.
Let me quote the...
We need to play the Jean Provocateur.
It was photoshopped.
Yeah, no. Because the truth...
They put the thugs in the police vehicle. Okay,
let me call Uti. Uti, are you there?
So, yeah, I am. Again, I think that I don't want to reduce this conversation to a particular event and a particular timeline.
Yeah.
I think that if I'm even going to speak about these events, I'm going to speak about it from the perspective of what I saw in line with what we're talking about today, which is the social media, fake news. And there were so many images, which in the days after these events were deemed to be fake news. So we saw the play that was the lady with the flag being carried. We saw the people who had died in an accident, who were said to have been killed, at the Lekki toll. So, I mean, I want to come back to what you said about cybercrime, the Cybercrime Act. I think I disagree with you. The Cybercrime Act doesn't provide, or I'm not a lawyer by any measure, but in my understanding, the Cybercrime Act doesn't protect against
fake news.
Fake news. So it protects against actual cybercrime, like cyber stalking, cyberbullying, hacking, that kind of thing. Now, fake news sits in a certain cater of its own, where we have user-created content, and it is out there, and it is a problem. And we have seen, whether or not we argue from the perspective, and I think that that's where we can get lost in this conversation, whether we argue that it's the government perpetrating or it's the people perpetrating, we all can't deny that there's a fake news problem. Mm-hmm. And my question to you is, let's try to answer this question, or I would like you to try to answer this question without the government context, because fake news is a problem around the whole world. So how would you think would be, or what would you think would be a way to combat fake news from a point of perspective of responsibility, because this is user-generated content?
Okay. So again, to look at it from the way you said it, everybody has a responsibility. Government has, people have. I can speak for myself as an individual. I can't really speak for government or for anybody else. Now, another way we should look at this fake news thing is there are different types of it. There are different categories of it. And I think we should talk about that before we go too far. So there is misinformation and there is disinformation. I think when we say fake news, we always assume the worst bit of it, which is disinformation. So misinformation is when you pass across false information, but you actually do not have an harmful intent. So there is genuine error. That's where I'm going. There's a genuine error, which people can make, which anyone can make. And then there is deliberate, intentional attempt to mislead people with wrong information. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what we should really be looking at. So we should not put everything in a basket. For instance, in the UK, because of the way it's working in the US, the whole fake news thing and Donald Trump and how they seem to hammer on it all day long, the UK has taken a position where they really don't use the term, and they don't like to use the term, because what it does is pack everybody, like you already said yourself, Uti, when you introduced. What you call the social media bill is open to all sorts of and manners of interpretation. There are people who make genuine, honest errors. And when they see that they've made an error, they take back what they said and they try to say, oh, I was wrong about that. Now, when you basket those people into people who are clear-cut propagandists, whether propagandists against the government or propagandists for the government, and you put all of them in the same basket as, oh, it's all fake news, it's all a problem, it's the same problem. Well, I don't think it's the same problem. It is a problem, I agree, but I think what we should rather be talking about is deliberate falsehood, deliberate. For instance, that flag picture that you're saying, I saw that flag picture. We later on found out that it was a drama in Jos or somewhere. But the problem that I have is that is one picture out of a lot of pictures.
Out of many.
How are we suddenly putting all our attention on that one picture, which we know to be false, and somehow the bigger context and the bigger picture of the fact that people have been shot, people have been killed, all get thrown away. And then we are all now fixated on a picture we all now know to be false. If we know it is false, then let's move on from it. For me, that's my position. And I'll give you another example. Let me give you another example. In Osun State, there was a day when people said, I think the governor's convoy shot at protesters. There was something like that. And then Joe Abba tweeted that he's seen the news where the governor allegedly shot at protesters. This should be condemned and is bad behavior, something in those lines. Eventually, he found out that it wasn't accurate. He put down the tweet and corrected it. Now, today, Osun government and Osun APC, they all seem to be all over their heads over that particular genuine error, which anyone can make, which, by the way, does not change the fact that there was huge problems with protests in Osogbo. People got attacked and all of that. So my problem is
not lumping everything in one basket. Yes, I get you.
Yes, that's my problem.
I get you.
Don't lump everything in one basket. Make it look like it's all the same, regardless of the context, regardless of and then, or better still, there is a situation in Lagos, for instance, where the police shoots at people or soldiers shoot at people. You leave that somehow, and then you are more angry about a celebrity that posted something on Instagram. For me, I just feel that is corny and that is funny.
Okay, so let us go. Uti, hold on. Yes. We need to just quickly take a short break. Uti, when we return, we'll continue the conversation. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
The power of the people is stronger than the people in power.
True power is in the voting.
I'm afraid that these recent events have exposed the current government as out of touch with the people, and their moral right to rule has been eroded.
If Nigeria looks to be dying and we're the ones burying it, what we need to do quickly is to admit that our young people are the ones who will take Nigeria to the future.
If you engage the youth meaningfully, create opportunities for them to be employed, self-employed, and employ other people, you won't have to share 10,000, 50,000 naira to anybody.
As leaders, they have displayed a total lack of empathy and accountability in governance.
We operate a big local government where the president is the local government chairman.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, if you're just tuning in, we're discussing fake news and the social media bill. And please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join this conversation. Tweet at us at Plus TV Africa or at Wayshow Africa 1 with the hashtag Wayshow. Or you send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. Uti, okay, before we went on the break, you were going to respond to Dr. Harvey, then I'll come to Isi.
Yeah, so I mean, I very much agree with what Dr. Harvey said, to the extent where he says, look, there's misinformation and there's disinformation. Now, my question is, this is not a situation of, oh, drop one and speak about another. But what I'm trying to key into is that when you say that, oh, whoops, I made a mistake and I've taken it down, so it's fine, we can move on, and let's focus on something else. That thing had consequences. There was a cause and effect. So you can't just say that, oh, whoops, I made a mistake, if there's been cause and effect, and you put it and throw it away, and you say I should go back to just the people who are deliberately. Who decides what has had what effect? And who says, oh, whoops, it was a genuine error? Because guess what? I could do something intentionally, and then I can come back and say, oh, but it was a genuine error. So gray areas are available. You know, one side is not more prone to gray areas than the other side. So when you say, oh, yeah, somebody can just put up a tweet, there's cause, there's effect, or take down the tweet, oh, whoops, I made a mistake. It doesn't cancel out what has happened.
Because there's already a ripple effect for that.
For me, it's like, how do you balance this to make sure that we're getting, everybody is accountable. So it's not that, oh, you're worse than I am. We're more balanced. Misinformation is just as bad as disinformation.
Okay, now Uti just nailed, stated something that just caught my attention. Basically, she said misinformation and disinformation is just as bad. So how do individuals tell the difference between misinformation and disinformation?
Okay, so I think to address what Uti said, so I completely agree. So whether your intentions are genuine or not, it's like shooting a gun. Regardless of your intentions, if you shoot